Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. This is Frank Deming, the local business guy. And as I said, for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be replaying three of the top most listened to podcast episode for season one. So I'm going to start out with the third most listened to podcast today. It was with my good friend and business partner, Laura Shipman, who is a social media guru. In this episode, I revealed a secret to her, and she was shocked to hear about it. And I've also said, she's not a social media guru; she is the guru. So you want to listen to her. So without further ado, here is the replay of episode 26, all about social media with the guru herself, Laura Shipman. Enjoy.
Hello, and welcome to Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you are not getting the results you are looking for from your digital marketing efforts, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's the host of our show, the local business guy himself, Frank Deming.
Alrighty then. So I am so excited, as I said in the pre-intro, to have this young lady with us today. And there's something that she does not know that I will reveal to her later on in the show. I actually said it in the pre-intro, but she hasn't heard it yet. So that's perfect. Anyway, I have on the other side of this microphone, not a social media guru, but the social media guru, my go-to person when I need social media help. She's the person that does it. It's been a long time. I've been doing this for about 4 months now, and it's been a long time since I finally got her on. So I'm so happy to introduce my audience to her. Her name is Laura Shipman. Laura, can you say hello, please?
Hi, everybody. Hello, Frank. Frank, thank you so much for that intro. That was so sweet. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Oh, not as happy as I am. I got to tell you, I push out a lot of content about social media, but I am probably maybe a fifth as knowledgeable about social media as you are. So this is really, really exciting to me. Before we get to the content and we add value to our lovely listeners here, I want you, in your own words, to introduce yourself and tell them, who is Laura Shipman?
Okay, cool. So my name is Laura Shipman. I'm a social media manager, consultant, and podcaster. And I've been doing this since before social media was born. So I think I started my business back in 2007. And I started out blogging. And slowly but surely, social media started to come on the scene. And I like to say that I grew up with social media. And I feel bad sometimes for the business owner and the entrepreneur who enter the social media arena. And it's just like a fire hose of information coming at them, of strategy coming at them, all of this stuff that it's really hard to digest. So I try and cut through all of that noise and simplify it as much as possible.
Okay. Well, that's, and that you do. I have to tell you, I am a huge advocate, and we'll get into that a little later, but I'm a huge advocate of content marketing. And part of the reasons why I like your stuff so much is because you push out so much content. And it's always valuable. I follow a lot of other people in this realm, and no one gives the amount of value in terms of content like you do. So I want to give you kudos on that. And now for the big secret. So this is, I am on the other side of this microphone is the person who actually inspired me to create my own podcast. I was a guest on her show, I think twice. Mm-hmm. And what's the name of your show again, Laura?
It's the Laura Shipman Show.
Easy peasy, right?
Easy peasy, except for the fact that I spell Laura Lora, and then sometimes people are like, I can't find your show.
Ah, yes,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, the spelling could be an issue, but yeah, the
Yeah.
Laura Shipman Show. I am actually going to put a link on my show notes for that show. So if anyone's interested in following Laura and all the beautiful things that she gives out, that'll be available to you guys as well there. But yeah, she inspired me to do it. She had me on the show. I had so much fun doing it, and I was like, "Wow, I want to do it." And then I don't even know if you remember this, Laura, but I had called you and I said, "Laura,
Mhm.
what is it to do a podcast? I kind of like it." And you said, "Oh, Frank, it's so easy." You gave me like a few tips, and then I just took it from there. So I want to thank you for putting the
Aw.
podcast bug in my ear, if you will.
I'm so glad you took that bug and ran with it, because you have a lot to offer too with what you do. And I love having you on my show because you always have such great information yourself. You're amazing at what you do.
Oh, well, thank you very much. All right, so out of curiosity, you're a social media manager and all that. We got that. What businesses do you typically work with? Give us a little, kind of avatar, if you will.
Yeah, I love working with small business owners who, if you can imagine, they're like, what is it though? They're just going in a million directions, and they're wearing all the hats, and they really want to make a splash on social media, but they don't have the time to dedicate to social media, and they don't really want to take the time to learn how to manage all of the different accounts, all the different technology, all of that stuff, and they just want somebody who will kind of climb into their brain and learn about their business and learn about the message that they're trying to put out there. And that's what I like to do, is I like to take on the voice of my clients. So it's basically any small business. It could be brick and mortar, or it could be a digital online business. And I just love watching that business blossom and grow on social media through whatever I'm putting out there for them.
Yeah. In your point of view,
Mm-hmm.
what, first of all, there's a two-part question. Number one is, what's your favorite platform? And number two, in your point of view, what's the most effective platform right now as we sit in 2020?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question. So my favorite platform is Instagram. I just love Instagram because I think there's a way that you can really connect with your target market through using hashtags and through using just general networking techniques and practices.
Right.
You're probably going to be shocked at my answer for what I think is the most impactful right now,
Mm-hmm.
and the one that I think people will gain quicker traction on than any other platform is going to be TikTok.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. And so if you really
it's funny you said that. I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
and I'll let you get back to your flow. But
Yeah.
TikTok, Laura?
TikTok.
The great Laura Shipman is into TikTok. I you know what? Let me sit back. I'm gonna take my headphones off and listen to this one. Go ahead. Explain yourself.
Okay. So if you can get past the kids doing the dances and all the lip syncs and all the dubbing and stuff on TikTok, and then kind of break through to that next level of professionals who are out there, you are going to find lawyers, dentists, business consultants, entrepreneurs giving all this value. You can grow faster on TikTok than any other platform out there. And I think the magic is in the sense that you only have a maximum of 1 minute to make your point, right, on TikTok. And then TikTok completely shuts down whatever that post is. So you have 60 seconds to make your point. And I think that we live in such an instant gratification society where people want information and they want it now, and they don't want to go through the hoops to get the information. That's why it's becoming really popular with people. And so I've seen dentists and lawyers go viral on TikTok because they're showing up for their audience, they're dropping value, and then they're moving on. And you can go viral really quickly on TikTok. And then what happens, and this is what I've done, is I'll watch people who resonate with me and what I'm trying to do with my business, and then I'll go follow them on other platforms. And so I see TikTok as a leaping off point for professionals where they get their audience, but then they can kind of take them to maybe their blog or maybe their Facebook page or maybe their podcast or their YouTube channel and really build a deeper relationship there. So,
Right.
so don't
Wow.
knock TikTok. Don't knock it, because I think it's really growing. I remember Snapchat was the TikTok years ago, right? A couple years
Yeah.
ago. And so and people disregarded Snapchat because they didn't understand how to use it. TikTok is a little bit more user friendly, and you can get that instant hit of followers and people communicating with you. And I think that's also why it makes it so successful.
Well, so
But
wait,
yeah,
wait, wait. Don't
yeah.
don't tell me that you also on Snapchat.
Yes, I don't use it as like I used to, but yes, I had like a posse of people following me on Snapchat when it was the thing. And then they followed me. But that's the beauty of social media, is when these new social platforms come on, you've got to be an early adopter, because you connect with your community there, and then they'll follow you to the next great thing that's coming. And I don't know what that is yet, but they will follow you.
We're getting all the secrets today, folks. All the secrets. The great Laura Shipman on TikTok and Snapchat.
Yes.
Wow. Well, that actually that makes sense. That it's your social media is your thing. Like I said, you're not a social media guru, you're the guru. So I can understand why you are so knowledgeable about all these different platforms. So you know what? I would I'm going to start looking at it myself, and I would employ everybody to start looking at it too. Don't knock it. I'm baffled by that.
I surprised you on that one.
You've thrown off the whole interview here.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Nah, I'm just joking. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. Now, Laura, I want to talk to you about. Earlier, I said there are other people who do what you do, but not as effective and not as consistent. And I think that the value that you add is top notch, bar none. So it's like I'm speaking to a celebrity, and the way I'm saying that is because I see you every day on social media, on your Instagram stories, on your Facebook stories. So it's like, I'm getting all giddy. Hey, I'm speaking to Laura. I'm actually speaking to her and not seeing her on Facebook. So that's pretty cool. So that leads me to my next question on content marketing. I'm a huge advocate of content marketing. I didn't build my business on content marketing. I think I sustained my business on content marketing because the stick factor when I push out my content is a lot longer than when I do it with Google AdWords, because that's how I built my business, doing Google AdWords. I'm a huge advocate of that, as you know. Mm-hmm. So out of curiosity, when for contents, like, where do you get your content ideas? Because you push out a lot of stuff, and people, I'm going to put all her social media stuff on the show notes. Follow Laura. She is going to, I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg where we're going to be talking about today. If you follow her, you'll see what I'm talking about. She's going to give you all these content ideas. I think the other day I saw something about I can't remember what it was. It was something like, a really cool content idea of personalizing your stuff. And it was like, wow, I never even thought of that. How does she come up with that? Not selling the farm. I don't want you to give out any secrets, but what inspires you? It seems like you're always on point. Like you never slack off. So I'm just kind of curious how that works.
Well, there's a couple of things, and I am going to give away a trade secret because I think it's a Laura secret, and I don't think that a lot of people think to do this, and it will help people go, oh, this is how I'm going to get my content for my business. Right. But the first thing is because I'm a social media manager, Stefan, and I know that people struggle with social media and how to do things, I always go back to basics. And so I would be thinking in my mind, what question would Laura have 5 years ago? Or what question did Laura have 5 minutes ago that I found the answer to? And so if you put yourself in your customer, client, or audience's shoes and ask that question about your own industry, that's going to help you come up with a lot of content. But then sometimes you get stuck, right? Because you're so close to what you do that sometimes you forget what it was like to be you 5 years ago, or to be that audience member five years ago when they didn't know about the thing that it is that you do. So my favorite thing to do to come up with I guess, content generating ideas is to Google either the top email subject lines that get opened
Mhm.
or the top blog post titles that get read. If
Mhm.
you Google those two things, you will come up with lists and lists of prompts, basically.
Mhm.
And so you just kind of fill in the blanks for whatever your business is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot
And
of sense.
it's just great because, and like what I recommend you do is you go down that list and you're like, well, which one really resonates with me? Is it the 5 secrets to fill in the blank? Or is it the 3 biggest mistakes so-and-so makes when they do this? And fill that in for your business or your industry, and you'll have content for days.
Phew.
So
Wow.
that's my secret. That's how I come up with it. And that's how I try and figure out what's resonating with my audience. Now, the other thing you could do is you can, I always screw up the name of this website. I think it's called Ask the Public. Is that the name of it? Do you know which
I've
one I'm
never heard
talking
of it.
about?
No.
Okay, so
Mm-mm.
I'm pretty sure it's called, oh no, Answer the Public. It's called Answer the Public. I knew I'd screw up the title. If you go to answerthepublic.com and you type in a topic idea or an industry name or something like that. So for example, if we were going to go to Answer the Public and just type in websites, what comes up is a generator from the internet that tells you all the questions that people are asking about that topic that you just put in there.
Right.
And so then you can get content ideas for your social media based on that. Pinterest works the same way. You go into Pinterest and in the search bar, if you type in, let's say, divorce lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
because you're a divorce lawyer, all of a sudden Pinterest has these little suggestions of things that you can search for that relate to divorce lawyer. And again, those are what the things that people are clicking on, are searching for within the Pinterest app. So you'll get ideas for your content by doing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd like to give out a secret here that I use.
Yeah.
Is I usually get my ideas from forums,
Yes.
and if I see a question coming up over and over and over again, I put out some sort of blog post on that, or I do a podcast episode on it.
Yep, exactly.
and share it because I'm seeing that same thing. That's usually what I typically do. But I kind of like your approach as well. It's pretty good.
And then Facebook groups are phenomenal for it too. So I recommend you join Facebook groups specific to your industry and find out what people are asking questions about. And those are your answers right there. That's what people need the most help on. And if you can create content and dropping value and answering, the questions or the pain point that they have, being that solution. Yeah, definitely.
I got to confess on something as well, because you mentioned something in your answer there prior that I got to confess, I've never used. I don't even know how to use it, and that's Pinterest. Like, I mean, I've seen it, and I know it's mostly a woman-driven platform. At least it was back when I was looking at it into it. But how effective is Pinterest? I mean, are people actually on there?
It's a huge traffic driver, especially if you have a blog or you want to drive people to a website or something like that. People are on there all the time and they're pinning ideas. So for example, something that I would do, actually it's great to market a podcast with. And so you create a graphic about this episode, for example. And if we named this, I don't know what the name of this episode is, but let's just say it's the 5 secrets to amazing social media. And you create a graphic that says that, and you put it on Pinterest. Somebody is going to come along and they're going to want those 5 secrets. So they're going to click on it, and then it drives you to the podcast episode, or it drives you to a website, or it drives you to a blog post.
Right.
So it's really good. The only thing that you need to do is really frame what the topic is about in such a way that it piques someone's curiosity and compels them to take that click, go ahead and click on it, leave Pinterest to go get whatever juicy bits of information you've got.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's great for traffic. Definitely.
Cool. Well, I guess that debunks my theory. I thought it was useless. But it's again, most of my businesses are local businesses that I don't think it would. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I'm not a guru, but I don't think it would work on my industry. So Facebook works, LinkedIn works on my industry, and et cetera, et cetera. But all right, cool. So curiosity, I wanted to get your take on the whole social media industry and where you think it's going. Like, for instance, I first went on social media like around 2006, I believe. That's when MySpace was on. And Facebook was just getting onto the scene. Well, Facebook was about 3 years in, but it was very not popular at that point. And then I started hearing about Facebook, and I remember people saying, "Oh, this is just a fad. This is, people stop. Who wants to share? Who cares about?" Back then, MySpace especially wasn't a platform to make complaints or anything like that, but it was just a platform of sharing, like, hey, I went to a party with my girlfriends last week, blah blah blah. And so people were saying, well, who cares about that, right? But now 2020, there's so many different platforms, and I'm still blown away by the whole TikTok thing, but let's keep that as a side as a side conversation after this episode is over. But where is it going? Like, where do you feel it going? Do you think it's a strong base to build businesses? It's still going to be that way? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I do. I think first off, I think we're social animals, obviously, and this whole pandemic has proved that, because people are itching to get out of quarantine and get back to face-to-face, meetings and things like that. So we are a social animal, and that really, social media does that for us. It helps us stay connected to our people and to our audience. As it pertains to business, it humanizes the business so much more. Like, before, businesses, I think, appeared to be more sterile and in a certain little box,
Right.
and unapproachable. And I think if people look at social media as a way to really connect with their customers, you're not going to go wrong. I mean, I manage social media for a bunch of different local clients myself, and they would much rather pick up their phone and text a message to the Facebook page or to send a direct message on Instagram than they would to pick up a phone. It's just a faster way of communication, because you just throw your question out there and you get an answer back, right?
Yeah.
So I think that not only does it humanize the brand, I think it makes the brand more approachable, and it makes us just like more real, like, and authentic. And I think that's where social media is going. You're going away from these perfectly curated feeds to more like, this is what's going on behind the scenes, and we're not afraid to show it. And that's what people want. They don't want to be connected with a commercial or a print ad. They want to be connected with the people behind the brand.
Right.
And so that's where I see social media going. Now, the other thing I see with social media is people want to do their research before they do business. And so they will go check out the website and see what that company has to offer. They'll go check out Google My Business to see what kind of reviews are there and stuff. And then they'll go to check out social media to see how the brand actually communicates and works with the customers, like in an open platform.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. It's like being more authentic with your customers, and that's what people want. And they don't want to be sold to all the time either. And I think that's where social media is changing things. It's actually pushing businesses to drop more value and be more valuable to their customers.
Right. So it's helping in that aspect.
It really is. I think, it's breaking down barriers between customers and business.
Cool. I failed to mention this. I was so excited about being able to get you and interview you and drop the amount of value that we're doing on this episode, that I forgot to say that you have an actual gift for our listeners. Can you talk about that? What are they getting?
Yeah, so I have it's basically a checklist, and it's the 7 biggest social mistakes that businesses make. And it's something that you and your team can go through and make sure that what you're putting out there into the world is actually valuable and valid for your audience. And I think it's those 7 things, if you could just run through them with your team, I think it'll make a difference, a big difference in what you're putting out there on social media. And I do kind of have 4 kind of questions that if you want me to run through now, I can,
Sure.
that you can ask yourself before you even post on social media. And I think a lot of people just slap up pictures and some words on a wall and hope that it sticks on a social media wall. They're just throwing things up there. But I think if you're a little bit more proactive about it and you ask yourself these questions, it's going to change what your social media content looks like.
Right.
So the first question I would ask myself is, why would my audience even care that I'm putting this up there? And so if you can answer that question, you're on the right track. If you know why they would care about what you're putting out there, you're on the right track. The second thing is your post likable and why? So is there something about that post that someone's actually going to click that like button, or are they just going to scroll on by? And then the third thing is the post commentable? I don't even know if that's a word. Will somebody actually take the time to write a comment because you've written something or you've shared something with them that's going to change or transform their lives? Is it something that people will comment on? And if the answer is yes, what kind of comments are you expecting to receive? So if you have these things all lined up in your head before you even hit post, you have a better chance of connecting with your audience. And then the last thing you want to ask yourself is what I'm putting up there on social media, is it shareable? Will somebody actually take the time and share it with the people who follow them? And I think that's really important, because if, Frank, you're going to put something up on social media and I come across it, am I going to take the time to share that out to my tribe of people? Will it make me look good because I'm sharing really good information? You got to ask yourselves those questions. And I think if you can ask yourself those 4 questions and you can say yes to all 4 of them, then you've got a really good post. If not, go back and tweak it so you can answer what those 4 questions are.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. Those are actionable things that we can all try and see, if this thing is it going to work for you or not. So that's awesome. So thanks for that. That was a gift that I was
You're
not
welcome.
expecting.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, that's awesome. Now, out of curiosity, you've been in business for quite some time now. You've been working with as a social media manager. Do you foresee do you foresee yourself doing this like forever? Do you ever see yourself saying, I'm burnt out? Do you ever get burnt out? Because it's like I said, and I keep regurgitating this thing. You give out so much content, and it's like, how does he even find the time?
It's funny you should ask that. I created something because I was getting to the point where I was working all the time, and nobody can work all the time. That's okay maybe when you're first building your business, but at some point you need to be able to step away from the business and have the business still run without you. That's when you're a true entrepreneur, right? And
Yeah.
so what I did is I was just writing content all the time, and I'm like, this is exhausting. So just exhausting. So I came up with a system called the Batch and Slay system. And what I actually do is when I'm working on my clients, I pick 2 days out of the month, and then I create all of their content for the upcoming month. So the way that I work it out, so I'm not creating content all the time, is I meet with my clients and I'll say, okay, what is the theme for the month of July? So tell me what that theme looks like for your business. What is your main focus for the month of July? So they'll tell me all of those things. And then I recommend for people to, at a minimum, post 3 times a week. Okay, so you're posting maybe a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So that's 3 posts a week. And then July happens to be a 5-week month. So that's 15 posts I need to come up with for the month. So that's 15 ideas that I need to be talking about to my audience for that one client. And so then what I do is I just sit down and I dedicate 2 hours to creating written content about those 15 things that I've decided work really well with the client's theme. And then after I do the written part, then I do the graphic part of it, so that when you batch your work tasks, you become more efficient. Because if you imagine your brain as a car, right? And you're stopped at a red light and you press the gas to take off, you're burning a ton of fuel to do that. And then when you come to the next stoplight and you have to restart that process again, you've got to burn a ton of more fuel to get it done. Well, when you batch your work, when you're writing content, it's the same thing. Your brain all of a sudden gets to working in a more efficient way than stopping and going, instead of toggling from written content to graphic content. So I kind of batch my client and my work out like that. So I just dedicate like a couple of days a month for the upcoming month, and then it's just all done. So I'm not constantly creating content. That's how I do it. Otherwise I would go insane.
Yeah. Okay. Now I get it. Now theme, you mentioned that. So you recommend theme-based posting?
Yeah, I do. So I used to work for a major retailer back in the 90s, and we were the biggest sunglass retailer in the world. And I worked in their marketing department, and I worked in their training and development department. And I noticed something that they did and what they did well. And they would pick a theme for the quarter or for the month, and you knew what that theme was. So if it was July, maybe water sports sunglasses was the theme of the month or the theme of the season, right? So when you walked into the store, you're hit with a banner about Maui Jim sunglasses. And then when you go mid-store, you're hit with another banner about Oakley sunglasses, and so on and so forth. So I'm thinking to myself, there was a method to their madness. We focused as consumers on summer sunglasses during the summer months, and we had the best sales in summer sunglasses. Well, what if our businesses did the same thing? What if they focused on what made sense for the seasonality of their business? So you really have to take a look at your business and say, okay, what works well for me during the summer months when people maybe are traveling on vacation, or they're not, whatever it is, and figure out what that is. And you talk about those certain things during the summer months, and then you transition into a different focus for the fall. What that does is it gets your audience members intimately involved in your business and totally understanding what your business is and what your products are. So for example, for me, right now, I'm in a content theme. I'm teaching people all about content with everything I do. They're going to see me as a thought leader and a guru in content creation by the end of my theme. And then I'll move on to something else. And it's just like you're taking them through this roadmap of all of the services and products your company offers. But instead of taking it and doing it in a BB gun style, where you're shooting all over the place with different messages, you're confusing your audience. When you focus and organize your thoughts, your audience becomes focused and organized. And then you can play with that and build what part of my business do I really need to build right now? Is it this part over here, or is it this part that's struggling over here? Maybe I need to focus on that. So wherever your focus goes, your audience focuses goes, and you're building your business that way. So that's how I attack it.
Now, the interesting thing about that, Laura, and I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this, but the whole theory that people say a barber has a bad haircut, or a beautician has the worst hairstyle.
Yes.
In this case, you've debunked that theory, because usually, you do that for your customers and for yourself consistently, and it's like you never skip a beat. So for that, I gotta high five you, because that's gotta be difficult to do, but you figured out a way to make it so that you can still hit a cruise every now and then, but we won't talk about that.
True. But it comes down to discipline, though.
Yeah.
It really does.
And it doesn't, like, for instance, with me, I get that a lot too. And I'm just teasing you, because I'm like that too. For me, my work doesn't seem like work. So for others, it may, because they choose to do something that they don't enjoy. See, I enjoy my work. I enjoy actually, diving into a marketing plan and revamping it and giving it to my client. As time consuming as it is, because understanding all the intricacies of a marketing plan is difficult, especially if you've never met this person before. It's very time consuming, but I love it. It's not work for me. I'm like, ooh, I get to play, But so I get it. But I applaud you for that. Very few people that I know that actually does it and does it for clients as well. So that's awesome. That's the energy. We gotta know we gotta know what kind of vitamins you take so we can get to mimic that. All right. So I just have one more question, and I will let you go because I know you're a busy woman. I don't want to take away from your batch process.
Okay.
Just in general, it's going to be a general question. Do you feel that we have to change anything in our marketing? I know you talked about theme based, and all that, but do you feel like every now and then, like for instance, this pandemic hit in March or whatever, people had to pivot, but do you feel that even irrespective of a pandemic or any kind of economic crisis, we should always have it in practice to pivot and maybe rethink things? Like does it come in chunks, like every 3 months, every 6 months? What's your advice on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's going to vary for every business, and I think it's going to vary for the seasonality of your business. But yeah, I don't think that we should ever rest on our laurels and not change things. I think as business owners and people who manage businesses and things like that, it's our job to be creative and to tinker with what's working and what's not. And we can always take it up to the next level. I don't think, this is my mindset, I don't think what's working right now is great. But I think it can always be improved upon. And maybe it's just a little tweak here and there, and you're testing things and seeing what works, what doesn't, because when you do need to do a huge pivot, like during a pandemic, you've developed that muscle that's going to allow you to do it with greater ease than, say, the person who hasn't ever practiced that in the past. So I think it's important. I said it's going to vary according to business and according to the seasons of your business. So maybe you do it gradually and you try once a quarter just to tweak things. Some businesses move a little bit faster. And so like if you're in the stock market or something like that, or a financial planner, that's a little bit more of a volatile market or industry. Yeah. So you might have to pivot quicker. Someone like me, I could probably change that marketing message a little bit more slowly. It just really depends, I think, on the industry.
Yeah. With me, I have to pivot whenever there's an algorithm change with our good friends over at then. So with me, I guess I'm driven to pivot based on what I'm using. But I always think it's a good idea to always sit down with your team and discuss, hey, how are we gonna shine above and beyond our competitors? But it's funny because earlier this month I had an episode that talks about that. So just was curious about your intake on that. Before I let you go, is there any other thing that I might have missed that you think will be very valuable to the listeners here going forward on their social media planning, or do you think I hit the mark here?
You hit the mark. The only other thing I would say would be just don't be afraid to get out in front of your camera and make sure that you're the face of your brand. I think a lot of people hide behind their screens and use pretty pictures and don't really focus on themselves. Like your business, your audience wants to know who you are as a person. So I would definitely get out in front of that camera a little bit more often.
Oh man, she just dropped the mic on that one. So in other words, you're thinking like so video, you should use video, you're saying.
You should use video.
And not just like PowerPoint showing slides, you just use yourself.
That's right. They want to get to know you.
Man, you just talk straight at me because I have a hard time with doing that. I'm being dead honest. Now that you say it, now I'm like, I feel bad because I don't do it.
Well, I tell people who aren't used to doing video and stuff like that and have like a phobia or fear of it, start out on stories first because that's like a 10-second snippet, right? And anybody can do anything for 10 seconds. So try it there first before you go into long form video. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I've been talking about this for the past 2, maybe 3 years now, and who knows? Maybe the way you inspired me to do podcasts, I'll start getting video. So,
do it.
Yeah, and that's how you said, do it, Frank. And here I am doing it. So, all right, with that, hey, I want to thank you very, very, very much from the bottom of my heart for coming and inspiring my listeners. I invite everyone to please download this episode, all of them, but especially this one, because you want to take note of a lot of the stuff that she talked about today that's going to help you, and definitely grab her free checklist or her free gift for the secrets of social media there. It's very, very, very important that you do that. And follow her on the links that I have. I have a couple of, Instagram, Facebook. Is there anything I don't do you want to give me a TikTok link? I guess even on TikTok.
Yeah, I think it's just Laura Shipman on TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah. Follow her everywhere you want. Just follow her and you'll see you continue getting the value that you got on this episode. So with that, I am going to bid farewell to this wonderful person. Her name is Laura Shipman. She is the guru of all gurus when it comes to social media. And this is Frank Deming, the local business guy. And until next episode, take care and bye for now.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. Don't forget, any links that were mentioned during the broadcast will be available to you in the show notes, so be sure to grab them while you have the chance. Incidentally, if you have any topics that you would like for us to discuss on the show, be sure to send an email to the email provided in the show notes, or click the Contact Us link and let us know what topic you would like us to help you with, and we'll be sure to add it to our schedule. If you would like for Frank and his team to look at your digital marketing presence and give you a free evaluation, simply click the Request a Free Consultation link in the show notes to get a hold of them. That being said, until our next episode, make it a successful digital marketing day. Peace out.